Hey everyone, how's it going? Last time I showed off this flying machine here, which I, at the time, considered to be the slowest possible flying machine. But I knew that there could be improvements. If you haven't seen my last video, I kind of showed off my thought process of what I did to make the slowest flying machine possible. And then this is what I came up with. It's a binary counter design, so when you place an observer here, these pistons will act as a binary counter, and when the binary number rolls over and this observer gets pushed forward, the whole machine moves forward one block. Now, in the last video, I talked about how there could be some potential improvements here. One of them I mentioned was compacting down the binary counter bit. Here, this is a 3-block per bit design, forward counting. That will become important later. So as you can see, each bit takes up 3 blocks of space. And I was thinking that it might be possible to make one that only takes up 2 blocks per bit. So I'll get into kind of what I did for that, but just as an initial reference point, the theoretical maximum for this machine at 32 render distance, so yeah, 32, you could make a 340-bit long machine that would move forward approximately every 10 to the 93 years. That's already an astronomically long number, more than astronomically large. Anyways, it's kind of pointless to make anything slower than that, but just for the fun of it, I wanted to make even slower. I apologize, I'm in my redstone test world. This is a different world than the last one, but this is just what I designed all the machines in, and I didn't feel like copying them over to a new world or anything. Anyways, so moving over here, I ended up making a 2-block per bit forward counting fly machine. So as you can see now, each bit is kind of staggered, and it's 2 blocks. And with this, I can fit in a whole bunch more bits within the 32 chunk render distance, making a 510-bit maximum machine that would move forward about once every 10 to the 145 power years. Now, I was thinking, when I make a forward-moving flying machine, I can only use 64 of these 65 loaded chunks. Because as this machine moves forward, if I made it 65 chunks long, part of it can move into the 66th chunk before the end of it moves out of the first chunk. So that means I can only use 64 chunks, so the very maximum it will occupy 65 chunks at once. So I was thinking if I could build like some sort of sideways counting one, moving this direction but binary counting sideways, I could use all 65 chunks and potentially fit in a few more bits. So what I have here is kind of my first prototype of that, where the bits go sideways, but the machine still moves in this direction. It uses the same kind of unit for moving the machine forward one block, but everything is just kind of sideways instead of forward and backward. So this is a 3-block per bit, meaning I can fit in an extra 6 bits as opposed to my first design, which is slower than that 2-bit forward counting, 2-block per bit forward counting design I just showed, so I didn't bother calculating it out or anything. But I wanted to come up with a sideways counting 2-block per bit machine, which is what I have here. A lot more complicated, a lot more honey blocks. Quite a bit more difficult to make compact. But anyways, now I can fit in a whole bunch more bits per chunk, and I can use all 65 chunks wide for a 32 chunk render distance, meaning I have 517 bit maximum, and I have a new record slowest flying machine of 10 to the 147 years per block moved. Now, I was thinking, since it's possible to move, or to count forward, and to count sideways, I was wondering if I could make some kind of 3D tileable design instead of just a linear design. So if I could use more than just one line of chunks, I could fill up so much more space and have room for so many more bits. So I first went about designing machines that can count in each direction. So here's actually a backward counting flying machine. So when this piston pushes forward, the binary counter is here, which causes this piston to oscillate very quickly. Every other time it moves forward, this observer pushes this piston forward, so it kind of counts backwards, and the whole engine to push it forward is at the very end here, as opposed to at the very front like it was before. Now, this isn't very compact, but it is infinitely extendable, only limited by render distance, but it really isn't practical for trying to be as compact as possible. All the bits are pretty spaced out, and it takes up quite a bit of room, so it's really only practical for the 3D tiling scenario, where you kind of have all these bits in a 2D plane move forward, and then you just use this to bring it all the way back to the back of the machine. So next up, I wanted an upward counting flying machine, so here we go. Binary counter is at the bottom, counts upwards. This is the 1s, the 2s, the 4s, the 8s, place of the binary number. Engine is at the top. Simple story. The downwards counting engine is a little bit more complicated, mainly because of this pushing forward mechanism, but same sort of concept. Binary counter at the top, engine at the bottom. Good for my 3D tiling scenario here. So now I just needed to kind of see if it was possible to hook everything together. So I did make a little bit of a prototype here. This one is just kind of a circular loop, but it kind of shows what's possible here. So the binary counter goes here, or sorry, the observer clock goes here. Binary counter starts counting this way. Then it moves forward, and then it goes the other direction. And theoretically, you can just kind of keep zigzagging this if you want, but I just did one little zigzag, put the engine right here, and it makes one continuous loop. And theoretically, what I could do is I could kind of make a big flat 2D array here, zigzagging back and forth. And then once I get to the very front of all my loaded space, instead of putting the engine here, I just use some of my upward counting design, move it up, use my backwards counting design to move it all the way back to the back on the second layer. So there's going to be this layer, moves up, moves back, and then I can start a whole new layer of binary counting digits. Theoretically, I can just keep on doing that for all loaded space, so from 0 to world height, all 65 chunks wide, all 64 chunks long. So let me go through some of the math to get to the final speed of my theoretically slowest moving flying machine in vanilla Minecraft. So this, again, is the 3D tileable design, kind of counting in all directions. This machine here is what I'm kind of using as the base for all my math. It's 7 blocks by 13 blocks by 32. Wait, sorry, that's wrong. This is 4 blocks. That should be 4 right there. 4 blocks by 13 by 32 blocks. Don't worry, all my math is right. I just put the sign down wrong. And this is a 30-bit machine, and it moves forward once every 7 years. And every bit I add to that doubles this time. So what I can do is I can take this machine, I can stack it 77 times vertically for the 384 block height limit, at least in 1.18 plus. I'm currently playing in 1.16, so it's going to be a little bit less for me. But for vanilla Minecraft, 1.18 has the highest height limit. It could be tiled sideways 32.5 times to fill all 65 chunks. And it can be tiled 85 times forwards to take up all 64 chunks long. So when I multiply 77 by 32.5 by 85 by 30 bits, I get 6.4 million bits as a theoretical maximum. Now, that is just based off of this design. It's not accounting for all the space I need for the upward counting and backwards counting components. So I also have a better estimate here for a realistic maximum, where I basically just left one chunk on the side. So instead of using all 65 chunks wide, I basically only use 64, and the 65th chunk is for any upwards and backwards counting means. It's more space than I need, so this is going to be a bit of a conservative estimate here of the slowest speed. So theoretically, you could do it slower than this, but just for the sake of math and not spending multiple weeks building up the actual machine, I'm just going to use this estimate of 6.3-ish million bits. And I'm making another assumption when I'm calculating the actual time it takes. I'm assuming that 2 to the 10 equals 10 to the 3. It's not quite the same number, but it's going to be close enough for the extreme order of magnitude of my final number. So, the world's slowest flying machine possible, in theory, using my design, is about 10 to the 1.9 million years per block. That's not 1.9 million years, that's 10 to the 1.9 million. An absurdly large number that I challenge anyone of you watching to beat. Again, kind of the rules for this challenge are just build a flying machine using all the loaded space that a single player in vanilla Minecraft can load. Besides that, you can do whatever. You can copy this design, compact it down, come up with your own design. I'd love to see what you got. I have my contact info in the description, so you can send me your designs. If you'd like me to feature them, go ahead and tell me, and I may make a future video. I also have a couple other designs just for other fun, slow flying machines. They're not going to be this slow, but just kind of fun concepts that I might show off in the future. They're not done yet, but if I ever get them to work, again, I'll show them off. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.